Hi there, in this video I'm going to tell you about my experience of taking the IELTS exam, but to keep you in suspense I'm not going to reveal my score all at once. You'll learn about what I did right so that you can do the same to achieve similar results, and what I did wrong so that you can avoid making the same mistakes. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's get the show on the road. Okay, let's open this baby. I think we'll need a cold weapon to open this sealed envelope. Since I don't have a cold weapon, I'm just gonna use my hand instead. Let's see. Ta-da! Sorry, you can only see the scores one at a time. Listening. Look at this. I mean, take a close look at this. For some of you, this might be a good score, while for others, it's a shame. It was supposed to be an 8 at the very least, but a very tiny mistake cost me a whole band. Before the exam, which was at 1 p.m. April 27, 2019, I had done exactly 10 listening practice tests using Cambridge IELTS 5, 10, and 11, and apparently it's not enough, even though I was getting 8, 8.5, and 9 every freaking time. And after all this, you're not gonna believe what happened. I made a mistake in section 1, which is usually the easiest of all. When they played the dialogue for section 1, which was about vacation reservation, I realized that the speakers were Americans. So I thought, it's gonna be a piece of cake because I'm just in love with American English. But after writing down 2 answers, I somehow started daydreaming and missed not 1 but 4 answers in sequence. I then realized that since it was a table with 10 gaps like this, I was looking at all 10 gaps instead of focusing on the first 5. I didn't pay attention to the instructions in the handout, which probably said questions 1 to 5. As I was busy underlining keywords to fill in all 10 gaps. But after the first 5 questions, a strange thing happened. The speaker in the audio said, "Now turn to next page and answer the questions 6 to 10. But it was one giant table with 10 gaps on one page, not 2 small tables of 5 gaps each on 2 pages. I thought, oh my god, I didn't write anything in gaps 2, 3, 4, 5. And I went right back to the gaps and began writing whatever came to my mind like crazy. Another problem was I was used to doing something like this in section 1. So I didn't quite expect to have 10 gaps to fill in section 1. Here's my advice. Don't underline anything in section 1. Instead, read the instructions and make sure you know exactly how many questions you need to answer or how many gaps you need to fill in. Then simply listen and try your best to understand what they're talking about. Moreover, I think you should do at least 10 Cambridge IELTS books, starting from IELTS 4 to IELTS 14. If you do this, you will have taken IELTS reading and listening test 40 times because remember, repetition is the mother of skill. Let's check out my reading score. Wow, that's awesome! Lee horrible. I mean, how could they do this? I was supposed to get a 9.0, but they gave me an 8.5 only. Why are they so Scrooge? They could have just erased one of my incorrect answers and written the correct answer and given me a 9, but they didn't. Anyway, reading was easy peasy. I had done 28 practice tests using Cambridge IELTS 5 to 12, and you know what? The exam reading passages were much easier than the ones in the practice tests. Section 1 was about Arctic issues, Section 2, bees and wasps, Section 3, experiments, and it had a matching headings task, which was much easier than any matching headings I had done up to that point. However, I did use some tricks to get an 8.5 in reading. Here is the reading secret that helped me the most. Knowing what answers come in order can save you a ton of time during the test because you won't be rereading anything. But to be able to identify the question type and tell whether its answers are in order or not, you'll have to do lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of practice tests. Again, going through the Cambridge IELTS 4 to 14 can help you a lot as long as you learn from your mistakes. And here is how you can learn from your mistakes in 5 steps. Step 1. Take a Cambridge IELTS reading test and do it in 60 minutes. 2. Ask someone to check your answers for you and to put an X next to the wrong answers. 3. Go back to your mistakes in the passage and take your time and figure out why they were wrong. 4. Then try to answer the questions again, but take as much time as you need. 5. Do steps 2, 3, 4 again, but this time if you still find mistakes, look at the answer keys on the back of the IELTS book and learn from them again. As a result, you'll have gone through each reading test 3 times and you'll have learned a lot. Do this with every reading test and you'll see your average reading score go up fast. One of my Telegram channel members has been able to increase his reading score from 6.5 to 7.5 in 2 weeks using these simple steps. However, if you're new to IELTS, then I would recommend that you go through IELTS Simon's reading video course. You can find the link to the video course in the description below. Writing. Let's check out my writing score. What do you think my writing score is? Can you take a quick guess? 8? Nope. 7? Nope. Ta-da! 6.5! Like what? Right. I felt the same way when I first saw it. I mean, I couldn't even believe that I could actually get a 6.5 in writing when my students were scoring 7 and a 7.5. Here is what happened. First of all, I knew that my task 1 was going to be a process before I saw the task. Want to know how? When they handed out the test handouts, they told us not to open them until we were told to do so. But I just picked it up knowing that the test invigilators could see me and tried to look through the cover. Since the cover was very thin, it was pretty transparent, so I put the handout on the desk and pushed the cover down, and I could see that task 1 was a process. When we were allowed to open the handouts, I realized that it was a process of producing biogas. I only had written 2 process reports just because they aren't as common as other types such as a line graph or a bar chart. Even though I was able to finish it within the time limit, I was unable to group the different stages to make a new category of stages. But does this mean I can't write? I mean, does this mean I would have performed the same if I'd been given a line graph or a freaking pie chart? Is task response the only thing examiners look at? Do they simply ignore good grammar, different sentence structures, and good vocabulary? Let's talk about task 2 now. I remember my task 2 topic word for word because I did my best to learn it by heart so that I could tell my story of taking the exam later, and I'm already doing it. Dream come true. Yay! So, without further ado, my task 2 essay topic. In today's world, people have a wider range of goods. For example, a TV, a microwave, a dishwasher, etc. than they ever did. Is it a positive development or negative? My problem was that I didn't really plan my answer thoroughly, so at some point I had to think of an example to back up my claims, which interrupted the flow of my writing. Later, I realized that it was sort of a tricky topic because I'm just thinking now that it had a hidden subtopic, which is probably consumerism. Moreover, I didn't really pay attention to the last 4 words than they ever did. which clearly show that the present tense was supposed to be compared with the past. As a result, I just ended up writing about the positives and the negatives of having a wide range of products, which leaves out the past, so it only partially covers the damn topic. What's worse, since I was running out of time, I couldn't write a good conclusion. It was just one sentence long and it didn't really reflect the main ideas in the body paragraphs. Anyway, what's done is done and cannot be undone. Here's a question. What would I do differently if I could go back in time and retake the exam? In order to prepare for the exam, I would write only 2 or 3 essays for each type of task in task 1 and task 2 and work on my listening and reading skills to crack 9.0 in both modules. It's about time we checked out my speaking score. Can you take another guess? Is it 6.5, 7.5, an 8? 2 p.m., April 23, 2019. IDP IELTS Tashkent, Uzbekistan. Having talked to 5 people right after their speaking, I discovered that they usually have one topic area for everyone in part 2. You probably know that IELTS speaking is divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is an interview where you have to talk about easy things like your job, studies, hobbies, hometown, etc. Part 2 is what I like to call a speech, although it's not really a speech, but sort of a speech where you have to talk about a specific topic for 2 minutes, non-stop. Part 3 is a discussion where you have to answer general questions related to the topic from part 2. Here is what I learned. Every test taker said that their part 2 topic was about a person. And guess what? Mine was too. My cue card said, describe a teenager you know well. As you can see, talking to people after their exam can help you find out what you might be asked, and you can prepare some ideas to talk about that particular topic. Anyway, I was pleased to see that my examiner was an American. Since I love American English, I get along pretty well with Americans. But still, my heart was beating faster than usual. I thought it would go away in a few minutes, but it didn't. I was nervous like crazy throughout the whole damn test. I wasn't really thinking, I was speaking like non-stop. What was going through my mind was answer, 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 quick, 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 due to the time pressure. Although I live in a country where English is not spoken at all, I have talked to native speakers several times and I've almost never felt nervous because I knew I wasn't being judged on my speaking and I had more than enough time to correct my mistakes if I had to. In part 1, I made a tiny mistake which made me feel awkward. It started almost exactly like this.
This is the speaking test of the International English Language Testing System, taking place on Saturday the 29th of September at Didtown Centre. Centre number DD783. The candidate is Javier Manuel Rico, and the candidate number is 0004290. The examiner is Carol Kennedy, examiner number 433816. Good morning. My name is Carol Kennedy. Can you please tell me your full name? And what should I call you? Can I see your identification, please, Chavi? Here.
But in my case, the examiner also asked where I was from, and thinking that it was the beginning of my test, I said I come from Tashkent, which is the capital of Uzbekistan. But a simple "I'm from Tashkent" would have sufficed. The examiner gave me that "you've gotta be kidding, dude, we haven't even started" kind of look. The very first question I was asked was, let's talk about the area where you live. Can you tell me about the area where you live? I said, I live in a place near downtown area and the city amenities are just a stone's throw away. There are restaurants, parks, movie theaters, shopping malls. I don't even know how I remembered a stone's throw away, which means very close. Anyway, at 3:20 p.m., I walked out of the exam test room completely dissatisfied with what I had done. I tried my best to smile at people whom I had chatted up earlier as if everything was just fine, but it wasn't. I was almost devastated. I just couldn't help but think, how could this be? How can more than 3 months of hard work go down the drain like that? And when someone asks you, when do young people mature or become adults? I don't know how stupid do you have to be to say when they get a passport. Even a 5-year-old child would have given a better answer than when they get a passport. I mean, I could have just said reaching adulthood happens in 2 different ways, physical and mental. Just about everybody becomes an adult physically between the ages of 20 and 30, but when it comes to mental maturity, it almost never happens for some people. Once I've heard that you're not a grown-up unless you take 100% responsibility for your life and everything that happens to you. I mean, I've seen 50, 60-year-old people blaming the economy, the president, the politics for their life being hard. They may have grown up physically, but their psychology is still in their childhood where everybody took care of them, not the other way around. For the next several days, I couldn't help thinking how I would have answered the questions only if I'd been given another chance, but it was too late. 14 days later, I got a text message from IDP, and what I got was 9.0. Do you know what it feels like to score 9 when you're expecting a 7.5? I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it, what mobile apps, videos, websites, and books I've used to crack 9.0 in the next video. But wait a minute, how can you do this, huh? How can you watch a fantabulous video and not subscribe to the channel? Can't you at least hit the like button below? Said Sherlock Holmes to Dr. Watson. Well, that's right, I have a weird sense of humor. If you have any questions, comment on the bottom. Peace.